Hello. Today we are going to learn about the civil rights movement. I want you to take a moment and I want you to jot down what are five things that you know about the civil rights movement. Five things that can range from Brown versus the Board of Education to the Montgomery bus boycott to the signing of the Civil Rights Act or even modern day fights for civil rights. Please take a moment and jot down five things that you know about civil rights. Okay, so with that, what you've jotted down, today we're going to learn about the Little Rock Nine. I wonder, have you ever heard of the Little Rock Nine? Not too many people have, and they are a group of fabulous young students that changed history. So, first, let's start with the civil rights movement in Little Rock, Arkansas. So, that movement started after Brown versus the Board of Education, and we'll get more into that. In 1957, the fight for civil rights came to Little Rock. And when that fight came, nine students answered the call. They wanted to receive more education than they were from their Black schools. They were getting a great education there, but they wanted more opportunities. And Central High School at that time was a huge school that offered a myriad of different classes and opportunities that they wanted to be a part of. And in order to do that, they signed up for integration. Now let's look at Brown versus the Board of Education. This happened in 1954, and the case was won with Thurgood Marshall and the NAACP. Those lawyers went to court and they took a conglomeration of different lawsuits, put it together to form Brown versus the Board of Education. And with that decision, it struck down what had been held for so long in separate but equal rights. African Americans could now go to school with white students, and they were excited about that, about having that opportunity to do so. And so when it came to Little Rock, the people of Little Rock decided that they would give it a try and go for integration. Now, with that integration, again, it was nine students. These were some scholarly students, and they wanted that opportunity. So now I want you to look at your paper and I want you to jot down, do you think that you would have done that at that time? These nine students raised their hand and they said, hey, I want to do something different. I want an additional opportunity. And they raised their hand, they went for it. So the question that I'm asking you is, do you think you would do that? And why do you think you would do that? Just off of knowing this little bit of information so far, what do you think you would do? Take a moment and jot down your answer. Now, let's look at their courageous first day. There is a key person that you will want to know more information about, and that is the governor of Arkansas at that time, Governor Faubus. Governor Faubus was a staunch segregationist. He did not want integration to happen, and he went to great lengths to prevent that. So, as we see here, Governor Faubus, the day before their first day of school, decided that he would call in the National Guard. Can you imagine the National Guard? You're going to school and the National Guard is outside. So, on their courageous first day, eight of the nine students went to school. And as they went to enter the school, the National Guard closed ranks. And when they did that, they prevented those eight students from attending. And it was because Governor Faubus made that decision. Now, again, do you believe that that was the right decision for Governor Faubus to do? I want you to take a moment again and jot that down. Do you believe that that was the right decision for Governor Faubus to do? What do you think may have happened because of that decision? I'll give you a couple of moments to jot down your answer. Now, Even though Governor Faubus decided to call in the National Guard, do you think that stopped those 9 students? No, it did not. They continued that fight with the help of the NAACP. They made sure that their rights to go to school were going to be followed through. And they had a supporter on their side at that time, and it was the President of the United States. The President of the United States at that time was Dwight Eisenhower. And so Eisenhower and Governor Faubus met together, and the president said, hey, you have to obey the law that the Supreme Court has brought to us. You have to do it. Governor Faubus gave him the belief that he would, but Governor Faubus did not. What the governor did was he just removed the National Guard and left the police in their place. And what that did was that caused a big, what is the best word? I want you to think. What do you think that caused when you remove the National Guard and you already have people that are not happy that integration is happening? So I bet you would guess it caused a lot of problems, and it did. It caused problems, so many problems, that the President of the United States decided that he would have to call in the Army. And so President Eisenhower called in the 101st Airborne Division. And he did this to ensure that those 9 students had the ability to go to school safely. Safely. That's what the president did at that time. And he also wanted the governor to know that, hey, you do have to follow this federal law that was given to you by the Supreme Court. These students went to school with the help of the president and the 101st Airborne Division. Can you imagine that? Just imagine. Do you think you would be excited? Do you think you would be scared? Think about that for a moment. This was a major moment in history. And then you want to look at, what do you think life was like? There are 9 students that are going to this school, and everyone does not want them there. So think about those things that the students face every day: harassment, isolation. They did have the support of the NAACP, but even within their community, there were some people that were for them, and there were some people that said, what's happening to you is also happening to me. So this is just a snippet of the Little Rock Nine. I want you to really think about what you possibly would have done, and what do you think is the legacy of the Little Rock Nine? What changes do you believe or you think could have occurred because these 9 students stood up and decided to go and fight for their education? They did have the positive support of their community, and even today, their story is still being taught. The media coverage is what got a lot of that word out and put it for the whole world to see. And so that is what gave them their lasting legacy. Now, we're going to reflect for a moment. This is just a brief overview of the Little Rock Nine, and look at their modern recognition. They have monuments in their names because they stood up. They sacrificed a year of their lives to be able to show that integration does work, because it was a lot of pressure. And then in that middle picture, that is the modern day Little Rock Nine. They're all still here with us today. And so it would be an amazing opportunity to ask them. One of the people did write a book. Her name is Melba Patillo Bills, and she wrote a book called The Little Rock Nine. And it is an amazing, amazing book that really details more about what they went through. And let's look at their ongoing impact. There's a serious fight for civil rights today. Maybe what happened then is some of the things that laid the foundation for the civil rights things that we are going through in this day and age. So I want you to take a moment and I want you to think, how are they still impacting us today? Thank you so very much.